proclaiming August 2026 as Overdose Awareness Month in Pierce County, and I'd like to welcome and invite the following individuals to the podium as I read this into the record. We have Melanie Lopez, the Division Director from Strengthening Families from the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department, Elizabeth Allen, Program Manager in Behavioral and Emotional Health, and Bianca Schell, Program Manager from the Street Medicine, and there may be others in the audience that just want to surround. And then we also have Roman McKnight, who is a District 6 resident, who is here to share a little bit about lived experience. So we can be up here, and it gives the camera something to look at, so it's not just staring at me. And I'm just going to read this into the record. So thank you for traveling to Tacoma. A proclamation of the Pierce County Council and Executive proclaiming August 2026 as Overdose Awareness Month in Pierce County, Washington. Whereas Pierce County has been deeply affected by the opioid epidemic and overdose deaths impacting families across every community and neighborhood. And whereas internationally Overdose Awareness Day is recognized annually on August 31st and provides an opportunity for people to remember those lost to overdose, support individuals and families affected by substance use, and reflect on the solutions for the urgent need for continued prevention, treatment, and recovery services. And whereas Pierce County recognizes that stigma, geographic isolation, and the lack of access to care are barriers that prevent many rural and suburban residents from receiving the help they need. And whereas, according to the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department, Pierce County's coordinated response is showing measurable progress, with the county recording 63 drug-related deaths in the final quarter of 2025, the lowest quarterly total since early 2020. Lower emergency department visits associated with synthetic opioids declining approximately 43% since 2023, and first responders averaging 60 fewer calls for overdose per month in 2025. And whereas the Pierce County Council and Executive deem it in the public's interest to make Overdose Awareness Day a month-long observance in 2026, and whereas Pierce County has made significant and strategic investments to help treat substance use disorder, including more than $3.2 million from opioid settlement and federal grant funds to deploy up to 2 fully equipped mobile opioid treatment vehicles, which began serving communities in early 2026, bringing life-saving medications, counseling, peer support, and health services directly to underserved areas. And whereas these mobile units are part of a broader commitment by Pierce County to expand equitable access to care, especially in rural regions where traditional service sites may be out of reach, supported by an estimated $55 million in opioid settlement funds that the county will receive through 2034. And whereas the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department piloted street medicine team and a program in partnership with the city of Tacoma through a state grant expanding to the greater Pierce County area soon, through funding from a diversified mix of local tax allocations, opioid settlements, and new federal investments. And whereas our continued efforts to center our work in community with lived experiences through providers, peer navigators, and partnerships like the Tacoma Indian Center, Pierce County Alliance, and MDC, the Metropolitan Development Council, and many others. And whereas in June 2026, Pierce County and its partners transitioned the work of the Opioid Task Force into sustained countywide behavioral health response, ensuring that prevention, treatment, and harm reduction, along with recovery services, remain a part of everyday work in public health. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this 28th day of July 2026 by the Pierce County Council and Executive that August 2026 is Overdose Awareness Month in Pierce County, Washington, and we encourage all community members to take advantage of numerous events, medicine take-back days, and opportunities to support efforts to save our neighbors, restore hope, and proudly affirm that recovery is possible. Let's give them a hand. So Melanie, we'd love to hear from you, and then our other guests.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair Hitchen and other members of the council. We really appreciate your recognition of Overdose Awareness Month. I'm Melanie Lopez. I'm the director of Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department Strengthening Families Division, and I'm here with my colleagues Elizabeth Allen and Bianca Schell. Drug overdose is the leading cause of accidental death in Pierce County. At the Health Department, we work alongside our partners to help people with substance use disorders in Pierce County to get the help and the support that they need. Some of the most recent trends that Chair Hitchin had just mentioned, we are actually seeing overdose deaths declining in Pierce County. From April 2025 up to March of this year, we've seen the lowest amount of overdose deaths since 2022. Overdose response calls and emergency room visits for overdoses have also declined. Preliminary numbers right now are showing that this downward trend is continuing. Pierce County numbers follow statewide and nationwide trends. That said, these numbers don't happen without the hard work of everyone that's involved. We thank you so much for shining a light on this important issue, and to talk more about the work that we're doing, specifically to talk about fighting overdose, we are here. I will invite Elizabeth and Bianca to the board.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Elizabeth Allen. I am the Behavioral and Emotional Health Program Manager at the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department. The strides that we have made with the opioid crisis are very important and very significant to our county and to our residents. Earlier this year, we moved our work to tackle opioid use disorder to the Behavioral and Emotional Health Program at the Health Department. This makes and helps us continue that opioid misuse awareness as well as care for part of our everyday work that we have. One of those great examples of that is continuing to fight stigma, and in the broader sense, fighting stigma around mental health. One of the great examples of that work with fighting stigma around opioid use disorder is our mental health first aid program that we have that helps with ending stigma with adults as well as youth and can help save lives. Helping people get treatment and ending stigma are just two important pieces of the work that we do at the Health Department. And now I'm going to turn it over to Bianca Schell, who will talk more about our street medicine team, as well as that expansion into Pierce County. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for recognizing Overdose Awareness Month. My name is Bianca Schell. I'm the program manager of the street medicine teams. Our street medicine team is comprised of 2 mobile care units that bring help to those in need where they need it. Our street medicine team works to combat the opioid epidemic in a number of ways. We provide resources to treatment, housing, and social service referrals, Narcan and other harm reduction tools, mental health and substance use support. We've worked in Tacoma since 2025 and just recently expanded this month into Pierce County. This is a major step forward in offering opioid use disorder services where people are. Our street medicine team is also an example of how our work has expanded over the years. Since May, we've reached over 750 patients in Tacoma alone, and we are just starting to connect with folks in Lakewood, Parkland, Spanaway, Puyallup, and other areas of the county. Finally, at our building on D Street, the public health clinic specializes in harm reduction and prioritizes opioid use disorder treatment. We recently expanded our public health clinic's hours by opening on Saturdays. Thank you again for having us all here. Thank you for recognizing Opioid Awareness Month.
Thank you all, and we would love to hear from Roman.
Good afternoon, council members. I want to just say thank you for this opportunity and to stand before you all as one of the many faces that has lived experience, that has overcome drug addiction. And so I have a passion for getting out there and just being a part of the hands and feet as the rest of the people behind me. And with that, right, I want to highlight a friend of mine, Ann Artman, who is very dear to my heart. Because when I got here to Washington from California, she was someone that seen something in me that I did not see in myself. And she gave me an opportunity. And so the recovery center that she founded it was a pivotal resource for me in me being where I am today. So I just thank you for the opportunity to be here and to receive in honor of those that have that are out there still struggling, and just also for just making this a month-long thing where we continue to do what we can to help those that are still in need out there on the streets. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to see if my colleagues have any comments or thoughts. Councilmember Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. Just one comment. Well, two. Thank you, everyone, for everything that you do. It's very challenging work, but very worthwhile work. And so anyone who is out doing this, there's a lot of passion there. I do want to add one more thing. I appreciate highlighting Ann Artman. The second you said her name, there's a moment there. Those that know Ann did so much for our community, and I think one of the examples that I took from her is when you have someone who sees something in you, that invests in you, whether or not you see it yourself, and they stick around, that makes such a lifelong difference. And whether it is this work here or in any other space, that level of engagement, work, and passion translates and does transform lives. And so I want to say thank you all for being those folks that are transforming lives in our community. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you for your comments. We'll go to Councilmember Krueger.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say how much I can appreciate what you do. When I want to have a pity party, I just think about the things that you guys do, and then I feel pretty good. You're facing a lot of trauma, and that's got to take a toll. But I have to ask, how could you leave the weather of California and then come up here? And I'm assuming that the services here obviously were good enough or successful enough that took you into a better stage of life. And what was excelling here that worked?
Well, in that regard, I just never gave myself a chance in California. And my lovely wife back here, she constantly stayed on the phone with me telling me to get out of there because there was nothing there for me. So me coming up here and just having a made up mind that, change was waiting for me. And all of the resources that were available here, because I ended up going to Bates, and DSHS really played an integral part as well in providing those services. And so, yeah, just took advantage of it and just never looked back. And just, stayed looking out the windshield and just glanced at the rearview mirror and just left everything behind me.
Well, I'm glad you had an opportunity to find the use of feet and hands. Appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your comments. Well, I will just conclude. I had the opportunity last week on Wednesday to go with the street medicine team. I think it was the hottest day of the year, so it was a lot. But the reality of what they are able to do in a 10 to 15 minute conversation about maybe somebody saying yes to treatment or support because they treat them with dignity, they treat them like people, they treat them without judgment. And if today's the day, then they have those really quick, frank, sometimes hard conversations. Today's not the day. Oh, maybe we'll see you next week, and maybe that'll be the day. And they're like really quick, like they are directly connecting people with services, getting them into treatment, getting them into detox if that's the path, getting them assessed by our counselors. And so we've been investing in these programs for a while. We really were struggling for how do we get people to say yes? How do we connect with somebody to say yes. And our street medicine team, I think, is going to be kind of one of those really impactful, powerful tools that will show dividends with some of the hardest to reach people who really just have lost hope. And so very excited and was really thankful that I had the opportunity before this proclamation came up. So we're going to take a